Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. Happy Tuesday to you. My name is Joseph James. Welcome to our live trading recap. It's October 26, 2010. Guys, I want to remind you guys, if you're watching this video on the blog right now, right up top here, up top, two sections, guys. If you're on the blog, up top, trade room resources and webinars, right? Don't forget, guys, on the blog, we got a search box there, live support 24/7, and don't forget, we also have the YouTube page. Guys, we've got thousands of videos on the YouTube page, guys, and you can search the YouTube page just so you can search the blog. So head to the YouTube page, the link's right there on the blog as well. And then don't forget, guys, at night we're posting new articles or posting trade calls for the following morning. So make sure you guys follow the blog. That way you get all the new stuff whenever it's posted there for you guys. If you can't follow the blog, make sure you join our newsletter. We always send out a newsletter announcement whenever we post something new on the blog. So make sure you guys sign up for the newsletter or follow the blog. That way you get an instant email, once anything's posted there, So lots of free stuff in the blog. Up top, though, trade room resources, Very important. Get to know the blog, trade room resources, and live webinars. Let's see what we did today. Pretty good day today. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, 2, 4, 6, 8 total trades. 173 ticks, 1783. We had one trade in the euro, couple on gold, couple on crude. We had the Russell moving this morning, but we spent most of the time this morning following the markets that were moving in front of us. So we can trade any market, of course. I can trade the S&P, I can trade the Russell, to the Dow, the NASDAQ, any of the E-minis. I could also trade the euro, the yen, the Aussie, the pound. Don't forget that Swissy, one of our favorites is Swissy. No matter what market you want to trade, guys, we're going to have all kinds of opportunity every day. As you can see, I've only got 2 hands and 2 eyeballs, so I can only trade so much. But come into our members training, we'll give you guys all the information. If you want to trade the Aussie dollar, it'll be a little bit different than trading the S&P. So we have specific templates. We have specific instructions on exactly what your trade management will be, what your pace of tape settings will be, We'll adapt to any market environment, guys. Don't take my word for it, though. Come out and join us as a member, and we'll show you guys in our live trade room every day like clockwork. So we finished up yesterday. Yesterday was one of the most challenging days we'd seen in a while. But we got a little bit lucky. At the end of the day, we got a nice big wave pattern that put about 50 ticks in our pocket. So we went from 40 ticks to 90 ticks yesterday. Okay, so yesterday we didn't have a very big day until that last big winning trade. Today was a very different market, We saw relatively pretty good moves, We didn't have the big explosive moves we saw from last week. If you look at our numbers from last week, Last week we could have closed our eyes and pressed the buy or sell button, and it felt like everything we touched turned to profit last week. This week's been a little bit different. End of the month, always expected to be a little challenging sometimes as we finish up the month of October. We're seeing the dollar, though. The dollar has really been what kind of kept us sideways today. So instead of seeing the big 50-tick winners like we saw last week, we saw 10-tick winners, So really, we're getting winning trades out of it. But as you're seeing from yesterday and today, a little more challenging. We'll talk more about that here in a second, though. As you can see, 173 ticks in. That brings our weekly total now 2748. Our monthly total, there it is, 31.5. We were looking for that. Yesterday we said our goal was 30,000 bucks. Hit our goal for the month. Not a bad gig, I only took 4 contracts to do this, and that's the best part about it. All it took was $4,000 in my account to trade with this stuff, guys. So 31,000 on $4,000, I'll take that any day. Yearly total, 181,000, guys. I'm shooting now for that 200,000 bucks. I know we have at least $30,000 left to make this year, guys. And as a member, come out and join us tomorrow morning at Live Trade Room. We're going to start making that money right along with you. Guys, so great day today. Little bit challenging. The dollar was pushing new highs, so we actually did have the dollar moving this morning. When that dollar pushed new highs, that caused everything else to move. Now, one of the things that happens is when the dollar pushes new highs, it'll then come off those highs. Well, when the dollar pushes the highs, what usually happens? Negative correlation, The gold pushes the lows. Well, when the dollar now comes off those highs, that means the gold now is going to rise off those lows. And that's exactly what we were hoping for on the gold this morning. We bought the lows of the wedge pattern on gold. And we spent about a half an hour today in our training talking about how we trade wedge patterns. And we looked at that, and gold, of course, is a great example this morning. Now, we also had the euro break new lows when the dollar broke those highs. So the euro, when the dollar broke new highs, we were waiting to sell the euro as it broke support. Okay, so a little bit of a different strategy. Dollar breaking new highs will sell the euro, but when that dollar pulls off those new highs, right, because remember guys, whenever the dollar hits new highs, it's probably going to come back off those highs a little bit. When it does, that's a great chance for a reversal pattern buying the lows on gold. We saw almost the same thing on crude, except crude was really narrow, right? Gold was trading like this. Crude was trading like this, right? So crude very narrow today, and we had trend lines from the top, from the bottom, made it very difficult for us to find a good entry. We finally, though, after some patience, waited for crude to come up, right? Since that dollar, of course, was pulling off those highs, crude tested its highs, and then we sold the highs at 10:30. Then what happened was dollar kept dropping off those highs even more. We continued to buy the crude as it broke the level of resistance overhead. All right, guys, so really we play with the dollar, testing new highs, coming back off new highs, and then dropping further off those highs for crude today. Let's take a look at that dollar, though. Here's my dollar. Here's my dollar. Now a little bit of conflicting signals here in the dollar. What do we see here? Well, here's my trading range. So we had a couple key components here, guys. First of all, we knew this was an outside day, right? Outside day, I'm above the range from yesterday. I can also see I have a trend line here, right? This is an uptrend. So we have a moving market, right? That looked pretty good. I really didn't have any concerns until we came over and saw this, right? Lower right-hand corner. Here's my average true range. And what do we see here? Now, this is where we really get that heads up. Got to be careful. I drew some trend lines. And what do you see? I see that the range is narrowing as we continue to move forward. Okay, this is the ATR chart, right? Average true range. It's a 3-minute. And if you remember right now, you can load the James 2-minute range template. Now this is a 3-minute, 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute. It's all going to be the same. Okay, but what you want to load is that James 2-minute range template because this measures your trading range. Okay, so ATR on the dollar is a drop-in, which means as we get later and later in the morning, price action became more difficult. So we knew, and of course this was continued from last week, the dollar has been consolidating every single day since middle of last week, which means every day has been getting more challenging from that dollar. Yesterday was a challenge. Today was a little bit of a challenge, but we were able to really see some easy patterns today. That's really what made this day successful. The dollar was concerning, low ATR, right? As you can see, narrow trading range there. Dollar was concerning, all right, guys? But what we were able to do, though, we really had some easy patterns to make do with. All right, let's start with crude this morning. Here's my crude chart. Now, talk about a messy chart here. What do you see? I see trend lines up here. I got trend lines down here, right? I got trend lines all over the place here. So what do we see, right? What's it called? This is called a wedge pattern, right? Called a wedge pattern. So what I'll do here is I define my wedge. I can see looks like this is my high, right? And then this is my pretty much my best low there. Okay, so there's our wedge. As you can see, though, we are right in the middle of the wedge here at 8 a.m. So at 8 a.m., we are in the middle of the wedge, which means I'm not trading this, right? I'm not going to touch it. I had to wait. And what ended up happening was price ended up coming up, testing the highs finally. That gave me a chance here, right, to sell those highs. All right, guys? Now, this area here, you can see here, right, 59s. Want to remember that level, guys, because that's what we waited for, right? 82, 59, right? That was the level we were waiting for at the highs. Now, of course, being in a sideways range, in a wedge pattern here, I'm going to sell the highs and buy the lows. So being in the middle here, I had to wait. So I wait patiently for price now to come up, right? Test the highs. I'll then sell the highs. If price came down, I would buy the lows, right? But we saw crude, though, chopping around sideways almost all morning until about 10:30 when it finally came up, tested 59s, and then curled right back down over. That's where we made our money on crude today. We sold those highs.